This is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook, and I have CJ McCollum. He is an NBA player, if you didn't know, for the Portland Trailblazers. He is imprisoned in the bubble right now, but he's still the co-host of the Pull Up podcast with one of my friends, co-host Jordan Schultz. Welcome to the Playbook, CJ.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, it's such an interesting time. We were just talking about your Disney watch that basically self-contains you within the bubble. My biggest question right now is, living in the bubble and playing basketball is one thing, but people forget, like, you have an entire life. You have a podcast, you have businesses, you have a family. How are you best dealing with that side of, the constraints of the bubble with a normal life?
Yeah, it's been tough, but we figured out ways to adjust. Having been here almost 3 weeks now, you're kind of getting into a routine, try to wake up at the same time. I usually drink tea and start reading in the mornings, and then I go on a walk and get breakfast before we get the practice schedule. But the best part about it is that we still are able to be in constant communication with our families. You got FaceTime, you got Zoom, you have all these other outlets to where you're able to communicate. And in terms of the business side, I'm on the phone constantly, which is perfect for the quarantine. We can't really leave, we can't really move around. So I can have my headphones in and kind of walk around the Disney campus, well, at least the yacht club right now. And we're able to travel to the other hotels because there's shuttles that run every 20 minutes. But that's allowed me to kind of lock in, honestly, and just really focus on basketball, focus on my business side of things, and still be able to communicate with my mom, my dad, my fiance, my grandmother, and the rest of my family. But I do miss my dog. I miss my family. It's like when you have a puppy, the puppy grows while you're gone and you're seeing pictures and it's like, wow, she's not going to remember me when I come back.
They have extraordinary memories, but it's really cool about either children or a dog is they make great examples of exponential growth. Meaning, when we're with them, you don't see them growing, accelerating, just like a business when we're involved every single day. But when you step back away from things, you can see the exponential growth and change and acceleration that has occurred. So there is a huge advantage. One of the advantages I see that you have, not only are you extremely mature, but you're into mindfulness, right? You read, you drink, you probably meditate, et cetera. What do you think, the challenge will be for those people that aren't mindful, right? That are used to, very active, very present, but yet, not introspective thinkers. And I'm sure there's a division of all the guys there. Some people are like you take, there's some huge advantages. Someone that's mindful, you have no distractions. You're able to read what you want, and I'm the same way in my closet. I'm like, this isn't always so bad with all the chaos around me, but I'm a mindful person. What do you think some of the disadvantages for people that aren't mindful right now that are stuck in the bubble?
I think there's a lot of people that probably will be lonely, honestly. They're so used to being connected, so used to being able to kind of control how you move, where you move, and who's around you, to now being away from your inner circle. Everybody has people they confide in, people they trust, probably living with them or close enough to be in constant contact and communication. Now you're isolated, you're in a bubble, you have your teammates, you have other teams around you, but it's not the same. So you have to be, comfortable with stillness, comfortable with being mindful, comfortable with finding your peace. And for me, it's been perfect because I'm a loner as it is. I like to be by myself. I enjoy being alone with my thoughts. I like to meditate. I like to not be distracted or disturbed at certain points in my day. So now I have that constantly. But for some people, they're used to moving around. They're used to flying from city to city. And I think that the best part about quarantine is that it allowed us to kind of be still, allow us to slow down and really kind of recalibrate everything, because now you have to be cautious about where you go. You have to be cautious about who you're around, who you expose yourself to or your family to. So I think this is great for us. Even the people that don't like it, it'll teach them some more independence and allow them to really, kind of do some soul searching and see, how they want to proceed after this.
Yeah, I always say pain is an indicator that you have lessons to learn: mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, and financial pain. And this circumstance is bringing that type of pain to a lot of different people. One of the other things I'm interested in is, as a team, Portland has great team chemistry. And this situation can, I think, either separate a team or create challenges or interference between great chemistry, or it can really enhance that chemistry. What are you seeing within your own team or any other teams? Do you see a cohesive bond with some teams, like the Trailblazers, or do you see also some separation and anxiety and interference caused?
I would say some teams are definitely closer than others. You see them hanging out in larger groups. You see them eating together. They might have team outings, be doing certain things. And I think it starts with the leaders. So for us, we organize events, we organize dinners. We're going bowling tonight. I basically put on a bowling event for our team and our staff just to get out of the hotel, to kind of get away. We're about to start, serious games to where we're competing for a potential chance to make the playoff and a chance to make the play and going forward. So just to let everybody kind of decompress and then refocus for the end of the week. So I think you see certain teams doing those little types of things that allow you to have more trust, that allow you to generate that team bonding. And I always say, if you enjoy hanging out with people off the court or not at work, that means you'll work better with them while you're at work.
That's great words of wisdom there. And, you like to read, so do I. So I always love to ask, what your favorite or most impactful book or books that you read for people to know.
So I'll let you peek at. There's my wine, but there's my book.
Nice.
My book stash right here. But I'm
just so you know, Connected to Goodness, Game Time Decision Making, those are all on the way to the bubble. They got to clean them off and let them season. But I'm sending my books to you.
Oh, appreciate that. Thank you. That'll be great.
What's your favorite book in that stack?
I'm reading The Way of the Superior Man right now by David Dita. It's really good. I've read 5 Love Languages. I think my favorite. I'll give you my favorite authors. Malcolm Gladwell. I think Outliers is one of my favorite books of all time. Ryan Holiday, The Obstacle is the Way, is really good. I'm a big Bob Goff fan, so I've really enjoyed all of his books. I think most recently he put out Talking to Strangers. The Richest Man in Babylon is one of the books I gave my financial advisor.
Nice. I like that book.
He enjoyed that one.
Have you read Napoleon Hill or Wayne Dyer, Dr. Wayne Dyer?
I have Napoleon Hill, but I haven't read it yet.
That's my favorite book, Think and Grow Rich. I used to joke around, but every time I read it, I made another $1 million. I get updates, Napoleon Hill updates every day. But Dr. Wayne Dyer, Power of Intention, is another great book. I think that someone like you would really enjoy if you get a chance. And then I also send my books to you. But even moreover, what percentage of the guys on your team write to read books compared to play video games?
It's a new generation, man. We got 19, 20-year-olds who are video game experts. And I went through that phase and that stage where I was playing video games more than I read. Now I brought my Xbox, and this is the first time I've played it during the quarantine in 6 years. And I started playing the game because I was so bored. And I haven't played it one time since I've been in the bubble. We've been here 17 days. So the younger guys play video games.
Yeah.
Some older guys will play. But I'd say a good majority, depending on the average age of your team, once you get to like 25, that's when you probably kick back in and start reading again because you're tired of playing online and talking into a headset. But right now, I would say out of 15 players, 10 out of 15 or 12 out of 15 play video games or just are doing other things and not reading. They're making music. They're mixed into a lot of different businesses and probably read on the side. For me personally, I read more than I play video games just because I'm a journalism major. I feel like there's just so much power and knowledge and a lot of secrets to success and gems to have a better understanding of life are in books. And if you don't read them, you won't find them.
Some of the other lessons too, you do a great job of branding yourself. And I'm from the Leigh Steinberg days to Warren Moon and I with Sports One marketing and media marketing and branding. And then even the last 3 years, branding myself. You've done such a nice job of building your brand within the context of not just being a great basketball player, but the podcast and you as a brand. What are some of the things that you've learned about building an audience and building a community and building your brand?
I think the number one thing I learned is be authentic. Whatever you are, whoever you are, like be that person all the time, be consistent. Like I don't tell people I'm something that I'm not. Like what I believe in, what I stand on, what I've done throughout my life has always been consistent. I've always been someone who cares about journalism, who cares about kids, empowering our communities, and I've always focused on education. So a lot of the things I do have been surrounded by those pillars. And I think that's consistently been my reoccurring theme since I interned for Lehigh Sports, since I wrote for the Brown and White and was executive editor of our school newspaper. So I've kind of consistently done those things. So now when people hear my name or they see me investing in things, they understand this is his body of work. He's done this consistently. this is who he is, and it's authentic to himself, and he's unapologetically himself. So I think when you're building a brand, that's my number one rule: be authentic. If things don't align with you or your morals or what you stand by, don't join it. Don't do things for money when you already have money. I think there's a way to kind of align yourself with certain brands and be a part of the entire process. And I think I've always done that and will continue to do that. So if I like Jamba Juice, which I do, I become a Jamba Juice partner, but I'm not doing it just because they wanted me to do it. I'm doing it because I bought Jamba Juice before I got it for free.
You said something very authentic. You just said, don't do things for money if you already have money. And I think that's an important blend because, I myself see money as a currency. It's an object of energy we put into the flow to get what we want. And I'm constantly blending it with my authentic or my potential, my authentic self, my potential, that faithful existence that I live, not being afraid of being a hypocrite and telling people, hey, I learned something, like even through Black Lives Matter, I've learned a lot. My business partner is Warren Moon. I've been involved in this movement for years and years and years. I represent the Clemente family through the years and years, but yet I had lessons to learn because I'm a white middle-aged man. There's nothing I can do about that. That's what I was born into. So, when I was looking at things of all lives matter versus Black Lives Matter, I learned a valuable lesson that we need to prioritize. All lives do matter to me, but I need to prioritize Black lives because we have some, constant injustices that need to be changed. And being my authentic self, as there's a lot of feedback that goes on when you present your authentic self, but you said that interesting thing, do you blend your authenticity and suggest that, if somebody doesn't have money, that it's okay to, if you don't like Jamba Juice and somebody offers you a Jamba Juice deal and you don't have much money, because you can do a lot of good things with that money, do you go ahead and balance that or blend that in any way?
I have. I've done some things. I can't speak on certain brands I aligned myself with, and I did keep the product, but I needed the money. I was in a position where I had a lot of people I needed to take care of, and I didn't want to use my contract money. So I was like, all right, if I can get a couple extra endorsements or a couple extra of these, then I can help out. And the money went back to the communities. I was able to build dream centers. I was able to sponsor kids. I was able to work with Black Parent Initiative. I was able to work with Smart, Start Making a Reader Today, and kind of contribute those funds back into the community, especially the underserved community. So I'm not saying don't do it because that's hypocritical because I've done it. Now I'm saying that I'm in a position now where I can hand pick and choose. All right, that's a nice lucrative offer, but it's not me. It's not who I am. I don't use that. I don't like how they do X, Y, Z, or I don't really have the time. I'd rather be with my family. And that's kind of how I prioritize now. Some deals I'll call and ask, hey, baby, what do you think about this? She'll be like, well, how much of a time commitment is it? I'll tell her, but I'll be like, but they want to pay me X. And she'll like, well, you probably should do it. It's only 2 hours. You know what I mean? And you get more into it. But a lot of times now, if I'm on the fence, I ask, like, what do you want me to do it or not? You know what I mean? As opposed to just saying no, because this is the top earning potential of my career right now. I'm 28 years old. I'm in the prime of my life, and God willing, I have a long, great career and make a lot more money when I'm done. But now I have to maximize that. So I just think that far too often we jeopardize our time for money as opposed to figuring out that proper balance. And I think once you make a certain amount of money, you have to really take care of your time more than you care about a dollar.
That's really well said. I mean, I have worked really hard for my own values to be aligned with the percentage of time that I spend with my family. The prioritization of my life is my health first, then my family, then activity I get paid for. But even during this COVID, people ask me what the biggest lesson I learned, and it's, what? I'm not prioritizing my family enough. I've been fooling myself on how important it is. I have a 10-year-old son, for example. I got 3 teenage daughters. Of course, they don't want to hang out with me. But, I realized traveling 200 days a year, speaking in TV shows, movies, all the stuff I do, that I'm not doing what I really want. It's not aligned with my values. It's not authentic to myself. And so, making those changes. But yet I will tell you this, as a man who's been married, 23 years, I went on a houseboat trip. And they offered me a speaking engagement, a high paid one, a virtual one. So I asked my wife, can we pull the boat back up and let me run over to the Marriott, do the speech? And she's like, no effing way, not a chance, blah, blah. I'm like, well, they're going to pay me this much. She's like, All right, what time do we leave?
Yeah, that's how it normally goes. They're like, well, you can't just turn that down for an hour or 2 hours.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a beautiful blend. Now, you have your podcast, the Pull Up Podcast. And what was your inspiration to do that podcast? Because it is, a great time commitment, as well as a talent commitment. And, to do that podcast, I think is exceptional. The insight that you guys have, you and Jordan. What was your inspiration behind it?
No, that's a great question. And it's funny because this is year 7 for me. I'm finishing year 7 in the league. I was pitched podcast year 2 before the podcast wave really started.
Should have just done it. You'd be Joe Rogan, man. You'd be selling it for $100 million. Forget basketball.
No, it's crazy. And they pitched the idea of me doing a podcast. But this is when I was doing radio. I was working with Sirius XM Radio and iHeartRadio. So I already had 2 partnerships aligned through radio where I was doing a rookie diary. And I was also DJing, like doing Portland's #1 station for hip hop and throwbacks. So I was already well known for journalism, and I was more known for like the communication side of things as opposed to being a professional basketball player. And that was a problem because of the optics of it, how it looks. All he cares about is this. He's building his portfolio off the court, but he's injured or he's not playing. He's not helping us. We're paying him all this money, and he's on radio every day. So I didn't like the way the optics look. So I told him once I established myself as a bona fide like NBA player, like a guy who starts, a guy who does well, performs at a high level, we'll revisit it. Once I signed my first extension and was a full-time starter, that's when I revisited the podcast and felt like it was a great opportunity to kind of shift from doing radio to podcast. And I'm thankful that I did it. Do I wish I probably would have done it a little bit earlier? Yes, because I would have been the first wave, and then I would have, probably, set the market as opposed to jumping into the market. But I've learned a lot from radio. I've learned a lot from those partnerships and relationships, and I'm thankful that I was able to experience it. And now one of the biggest things I've learned is to just be you. If journalism is what I care about and what I want to do, who cares what people think? Who cares who I offend or hurt? Because this is my life, and there's so much more to my life than just basketball. I want to be multifaceted and versatile. So I think the biggest thing I've learned is that a lot more people listen and are fans than you think. I stay in New York City in the summertime, and I was walking to hot yoga last summer, and shirt off, headphones on, just walking, power walking through not Central Park but Times Square, around 42nd Street, and a guy stops me. I'm really about to walk in, and he's like, "You're CJ McCollum, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm listening to your podcast right now." And I was like, "No way." And he shows me his phone, and he's listening to it. So those moments are great because it shows me that people actually listen to what I'm saying. And then I have to be more thoughtful and mindful of the topics because kids are listening, parents are listening, fans are listening, people that aren't fans are listening. And that's how you kind of shape the culture of who you are as a person and what the NBA stands for.
That's awesome. Last question real quick. I talk about practicing ending fear as one of the great practices, practicing quieting myself, practicing ending fear. And feelings are involved a lot, especially, with younger people, and you have a younger team, and people have a need to be offended, a need to be right, a need to be resentful. There's these ego-based emotions and feelings that we have. You still are a young guy. You're very successful in what you do, but you are an old soul. That's the way I would describe you. You have wisdom among your years. I'd love to just quickly ask you, what's the one kind of feeling or emotion or ego-based emotion that you still, for me, it's a need to be offended. I'm 52 years old. I get offended like this, and I got to do the ferocious Buddha thing and breathe and get myself to center. What's the one thing for you that is innately in your quantum being that you're still quieting, that you're still working on or practicing?
I'm super petty, and I think I was born that way, and it's gotten better, but it's not where I would like it to be yet. So not that I hold grudges, but I never forget anything. So it's a gift, but it's also a curse because it's like you have to let that go. That was a long time ago. I still remember things that were said to me in high school when I was 15. You know what I mean? And like I'll see those people, and it'll like the memories and flashbacks come back, and I'm like, that was 13 years ago, CJ. Like who were young, like whatever. But that's one of the things I've worked on, not holding grudges and not responding with the same acts. So like killing them softly with kindness is what I've tried to work on, and I'm getting better at it, but I'm far from a finished product.
That's beautiful, man. Well, understand people, pray for their happiness. I pray for your happiness and success. I'm really looking forward to seeing your run. I think you guys got a good shot, especially in this playoff system that they have now. I'm really excited. Last night was a great game as well, and great shot by you. As all my team is so excited to wait for you. I appreciate you coming on and sharing those words of wisdom. I am going to send you my books. Anything you ever need, we appreciate you, my friend. This is CJ McCollum with David Meltzer here on Entrepreneurs, the Playbook.